guys, welcome back. Today we're out at the range with a rifle you've seen, especially on Instagram, and we've had out in the field a few times hunting, and this is my Desert Tech MDR. We have started receiving shipments of these at Copper Custom, and yeah, I've had this rifle now coming up on a year. So this is a production rifle, and we've had it for a while. In some of the earlier pictures you've seen of this gun, you saw the suppressor that was wrapped in green tape, masking tape used for painting, because I couldn't show you the suppressor. I had an early version of the new OSS can, which is what we want to talk about in today's video. And pardon my voice, it's a little bit crackly because I'm just getting over the flu. But anyway, so this rifle is all set up to do hunting. Now it is chambered in 308. The 5.56 kits are out. I'm trying to get my hands on one because I do want to try the rifle in 5.56. It's a 308, it's relatively heavy, but I don't want to talk too much about the gun or the optic. We'll just touch upon the optic a little bit. Today I just want to talk about the silencer because we haven't really spoken a whole lot about the brand new OSS cans. Now, this rifle we have had down in Texas. We've taken the Nilgai with it, we've taken Coyote with it, and we're using a Pulsar XP50. This is from our friends over at Optics Planet. This is probably one of the best, if not the best, thermal sights on the market. I say that I would have said that reluctantly 6 months ago, because the name Pulsar compared to FLIR, you would think, oh, I'd always go with FLIR. Guys, I've used FLIR thermals and they pale in comparison to this optic. This thing has amazing clarity. It has infinitely more options and features, and it has internal recording, it has shot detection, and just so many features that the FLIR optics don't have, and they're a lot more durable. One of the sad realities of the FLIR thermals that we previously used is if you banged them around, they stopped working. If you left them on for long periods of time, they started to fade. The optics lost clarity and resolution. We haven't had that problem with these thermals. So I'm extremely impressed with Pulsar, and so is the market, because trying to find one of these in stock somewhere is darn near impossible. So the nice thing about the OSS can, the new one, is you'll notice it has a unibody. I'm calling it that, I don't know what they call it, but basically we'll show you one of the originals here a little bit later in the video, but it's all one unit now. Instead of having multiple units, where when you would unscrew it from the rifle, it would come apart into multiple units, it's one complete unit now that screws onto a proprietary muzzle device. And we'll show you all that a little bit later in the video. Even though it's different externally, internally, it's still very similar to its flow-through design that OSS is known for, which means that there's very little to no back pressure coming back down the barrel. So you're not dirtying up the action of the gun, you're not over-gassing the gun, causing malfunctions many times in rifles like AR-10s, and even in rifles like the 308s can be a little bit more picky when you put cans on them. And people are going to argue with me on that one, but guys, I have put cans on a whole bunch of different types of 308 rifles, and they can be finicky when you suppress them. With the OSS, there's no back pressure, and it's that back pressure that causes that finicky behavior. And so this gun, I'm not running it on a suppressed setting. I'm running it standard because I don't have that overgas to worry about. The gases, instead of coming back down the barrel, are swirled around, cooled, and ejected out the front of the suppressor. The trade-off, you're going to get louder numbers here at the muzzle of the rifle with the sound moving away from the shooter than you would on a conventional suppressor where you have baffles. It's very easy to get good numbers out here with a traditional baffle suppressor because the gas isn't going out that way. It's coming back down the barrel out the ejection port by the shooter's ear. The OSS can cools and vents those gases forward, and the sound moves away from the shooter, and you have no back pressure and very low port pressure, so it reduces that port pop next to the shooter's ear and makes it hearing safe, or as safe as possible for the shooter's hearing, which is what I'm trying to do, and that's to preserve my own hearing. I'm going to put ears on. I don't need to. I mean, I'll do it without it. I'll go ahead and charge the rifle. I have the bolt to the rear. We're shooting some 147 grain Freedom munitions. If I can get I'll just use the other magazine release up here. It's really tight because it's a full magazine. Using some Freedom munitions, 147 grain ball. And I'm going to go ahead and charge the weapon. And we'll fire off a few shots here. I'm going to set the record on the thermal. All right, the thermal's now recording. Have this little adjustment up here, I can focus it. And I'm going to go ahead and bump the zoom to 3.2 power. Fine tune my focus. All right, Let's fire off a few shots here out of the MDR. Now I am shooting at a challenge target down there. You should be able to see it through the thermal. And you should be able to hear the round hit the steel plate. That crack you hear downrange is the bullet breaking the sound barrier. All right. So, what am I hearing? I'm hearing a loud boom and crack and a bang downrange, but back here my ears aren't ringing. So, let's take a closer look at this setup. This rifle has been extremely reliable for us. Again, we've had it out in the field hunting with it. Jason took a nilgai with it, and with using 308, he was still able to bring that big animal down. And yeah, I've taken some coyote with it, and we're going to do some more coyote hunting. We have access to 190 acres here that's brand new. We're going to bring you guys out for some really cool coyote hunting. There's tons of them out there. They're decimating the fawn population, and we're going to start heading out there real soon, and we're going to start taking care of that coyote population. All right, let's take a closer look at the new OSS suppressors. This is a previous generation Helix 556. Now this can is very similar to all the previous generations of OSS cans in that, first of all, it has a unique muzzle device, and this one has a left-hand thread, as does the new Helix QD, which we have on the MDR. But to loosen it, you actually turn it the opposite direction, and then it just lifts off. Now you have to take these cans apart carefully. All right, I'm going to show you something. I'm holding this can for a reason with my pinky underneath it, and I'll show you that in a moment. But the original muzzle device, there is some conflict with the ATF as to whether or not this was considered a suppressor part, because this thing was integral to holding the whole suppressor together on the can. It threads here and it threads here on the very end. All that has changed with the new OSS QD system. Now, what's really cool about this, I should point out, we pointed this out in a previous video, I can take this muzzle device off. I can back it all the way off, just leave it with just a couple of threads biting, fire one round, and this muzzle device will spin itself all the way down and lock itself down. These are self-torquing muzzle devices. So even though this is a thread on, and look how, I mean, look at the threads. They're very, very coarse threads. This is a thread-on muzzle device, but it only takes a couple of revolutions to lock it down, and then every time you fire the weapon, it torques that can on, so it will never walk off. All right, so with the original system, you had multiple pieces. The end cap, and this is part of the flow-through design. And then you had an outer sleeve, which looks like that. And then this is the internal part of the suppressor. This is very easily damaged. That's why it had this outer sleeve that slid over it. It protected the body of the suppressor because this allows gas to flow up inside of it. It's hollow on the inside, so it had to be very thin. And if you drop it on rocks or something, you can dent it, damage, and hurt the performance of the suppressor. So when you take the suppressor off, it's very easy, if you're not holding it right, just for the can to spontaneously disassemble itself, and be very easy for you to damage your suppressor. So you had to be quite careful with the suppressor because all these parts just fall out of it. Now this screws on here. Now you can see why the ATF may have considered it to be a suppressor part. All right, so this is a Tavor 556. Actually, it's an X95, not a Tavor. And this is one of my favorite suppressed guns. I'm always going to leave this OSS can on here. Hold on, let me get this backed off. Screw this one down first. There's a process to putting these cans on. Screw that one down, and then screw this one down. All right, now the can's on the rifle. Now what's really cool about these, I don't know what kind of voodoo is going on, but even the guys at IWI have discovered that the OSS can working with the X95 is one of the quietest systems ever. Amazingly quiet. And so this is the rifle I have at the shop that I leave hanging on the wall for self-defense purposes should somebody decide they want to break in to the store and rob us while we're there. Now this thing should be zeroed. I'm just shooting some M193 ball. How quiet is that, guys? I mean, it's amazing. You can hear the bullet crack downrange. There's nothing going on here. It's amazingly quiet. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that, the original system, before we delve more into the new Helix QD system. I'm going to leave this can on this rifle forever. These two are meant to be together. I already own this one, and I'm just going to keep this at the shop, like I said, for shop defensive purposes. But it's a very, very neat setup, and you can expect the exact same performance with the new QD 556 Helix QD for the 556 rifles. You're going to get the same type of performance out of it as you would this multi-part can. This is the HXQD 762 or the Helix QD 762. This is a 300 blackout pistol build, and I don't want to talk too much about the pistol, but it has a SB Tactical SBA3 brace on it and 300 blackout pistol length barrel system, and this is the new OSS can. Now you can see a slight difference. We just finished up talking about the mount on the X95. Now you'll notice when I took this can off, there aren't pieces falling apart. This is a welded, sealed, non-serviceable unit. There's no need to clean these, folks. People always think that they should clean their rifle suppressors, and there's no need to do that. We've actually done testing. The dirtier these things get, surprisingly, the more quiet they get. I don't understand it, but that's what our DB meter tells us. So this is the new muzzle device. This is their the self-torquing muzzle device. Now this is not considered a NFA item. This is not considered a suppressor component, and you can buy as many of these as you would like. These, just like their predecessor, will torque themselves onto the barrel, and they will torque the can onto the muzzle device. Now take a look at the threads. The threads are a little bit different than the previous generation. Of course, we don't have threads up here anymore. We just have, you know, one more thread down here where we had 2 threads. Now we have 3. It's still a very coarse system, which still makes it QD. There's no real standard, industry standard for what QD is. It just means quickly detach. And so this coarse thread works very well, but what I like about it is that it's a taper mount and a coarse thread. Taper mounts work very well for accuracy applications, as where other QD systems do not. So the taper mount is a sure way to get a nice, snug, consistent fit. Now, when you put the can on, you just set it down, a couple of quick twists, and just snug it. You don't have to tighten it. The first round you fire will torque that can on. Now, I will say, if you fire 1,000 rounds to this thing and not break this thing loose, you're probably going to need a strap wrench to get it off. But if you take it off every once in a while just to break that carbon up, you will be able to get these suppressors off very easily. The other thing I like about the design of this muzzle device is here is your taper. This is the opposite of what you're going to find most other places in the industry. The taper is in front of the threads. Why is that important? Well, it goes back to what I just mentioned about carbon seizing. When you screw this can down, the shoulder's right here. This acts as a carbon seal. The carbon's not making it to the threads, okay? So there will be a little bit of carbon seizing, but it's going to be on this flat surface, which will make it a little bit easier to break loose. You can typically do it with your hands, but if you shoot thousands of rounds, you may have to use a strap wrench. But this definitely keeps this muzzle device cleaner and easier to service because they had the ingenuity to put that taper in front of the thread versus behind the thread, which you're going to find again on most other suppressors. All right, guys, so we're going to do a little bit of meter testing with the HXQD 762 on the MDR. We're going to get the muzzle readings first. I don't believe in these. I have no use for them, but it's an industry standard and everybody's going to ask for them. So we've done this testing before with the previous cans. We're not going to do the other cans this afternoon. If you want to see that test data, go back and check out the old OSS videos that we've already done. We've already got the B&K meter set up. I'm going to go ahead and reset it. Okay, 149.5. 149.4. $149.8. $148.2. One more. And 148 flat. All right. So it's averaging in the high 148s, right around 148, 149 at the muzzle, which for 308 is pretty, it's not hearing safe. Okay, so OSHA tells us 140 decibels is all we should be able to endure for one 24-hour period. Okay, so when people say that a suppressor is hearing safe at 140 decibels, that's at the ragged edge, and that doesn't mean you can go out and do magazine dumps. You are damaging your hearing. So for that one shot, you want it to be at 140 or lower decibels. So at the muzzle, this is not hearing safe for even one shot. Okay, so now let's switch it up. Let's move the sound meter over to my right ear. We're following the CSAS specs, which are the new specs set by the government. We're going to put that meter 6 inches off my right ear, and that's the threshold measurement that the government now uses, meaning that they take 5 measurements, but they can all be over 140 decibels. It's the one at the shooter's right ear that they care about, because now they're looking at preserving the shooter's hearing. All right, let's reset up the test. So now we're going to do 6 inches off the shooter's right ear. We have everything set up using the exact same ammunition, which is 147 grain ball from Freedom Munitions. I'm going to go ahead and reset the meter here. And here we go. $141.6. $141.3. $143 flat. $142.4. And 142.5. So I'm going to go ahead and make the weapon safe. Get out of their magazine. These things are a little bit different when you're making them safe. When you pull the bolt to the rear and let it go, watch what's going to happen. It's going to shoot a live round out. Pew! Well, almost. It actually malfunctioned. Nice thing is you can take the port cover off and get your round out. All right, I short stroked the bolt. Get out of there. This is, you can see how it's supposed to throw the round through the little chute right there. All right, so there you guys have it. Let's, I want to show you one other thing while we have it out here. The X95 with the 5.56 can on it. Let's do a little bit of testing with it at the shooter's ear. I want you guys to see this. With the Desert Tech, we were getting in the 142s and 143 decibels, 141, 142, and we saw 143. And those numbers can change depending on atmospheric conditions. Today we have at least 100% humidity. We're sweating through our shirts right now. So you can get different numbers. We have recorded it where it's right at 140. Okay, so it just depends on your atmospheric conditions, what your elevation is, how close to sea level you are, how much higher you are up in the mountains, whatnot, humidity, barometric pressure, all that stuff changes those numbers. So today we're just over hearing safe with the 308. Now when we've metered, and we've metered a lot of other 308s with conventional cans, you'll see that 140, 141, 142 number out front, but you'll see back at the shooter's ear, 150, 149, 150. So we're saving anywhere between 6 and 9 decibels lower with the OSS can on a 308. 308s are very loud guns. Now what I'm going to do with my X95 with my original Helix on here, the older Helix. It's not the original. I think this is probably a 5th or 6th generation can. I'm going to do a at the ear test with some standard M193 ball. All right, so let's go ahead and reset it. 5.56 is a little easier to suppress. Okay, there we go. 136 flat. $132.7. Those are really good numbers. $132.9. $132.7. And 134.6. That last one was the loudest. So, guys, this thing is insanely quiet for a 5.56 rifle, and it's extremely pleasant at the shooter's ear. I can go out and shoot this thing in the afternoon, pop coyotes with it, do whatever I want, and it's really, really nice. So, yeah, if you're looking for like the ultimate suppressed rifle, take a look at the X95 running an OSS can, because back at your ear, it's going to have some really impressive numbers. I hope you guys enjoyed coming out, checking out the new Helix QD suppressor from OSS on the Desert Tech 308. We will be putting this can on different rifles. We'll do some AR-10 testing and things like that, because the platform that you mount the suppressor to obviously contributes to its numbers as well. So we'll give you guys an idea of what a more conventional rifle like an AR-10 might give you in terms of meter data. I just wanted to get out here today and show you this setup, because I am actually using this as a hunting rig. Now keep in mind that 308 is very hard to suppress. Very few 308 gas guns out there are hearing safe. This one, under today's conditions, we were just over that hearing safe threshold. We're 1 or 2 decibels over that. But typically using a conventional can, we'll actually see at the shooter's ear with a conventional can in the high 140s into the 150s, and we've shown that here on the channel in the past. So the OSS can does drastically reduce the back pressure and that port pop that you'll get back here by the shooter's ear. If you guys have any questions, please ask those questions down below, and we'll try to answer some of those questions for you. If you become one of our Patreon supporters, we try to answer all of your questions. And if you'd like to become a Patreon, there's a link down below. Please follow that link and check us out. See some of the incentives that we offer. We are beholden to our Patreons. We do not take any industry money. We do not take money from manufacturers or importers. We are viewer supported. So you can trust our opinions, because we don't get paid to make videos except by our supporters, which are our Patreons. Also, if you'd like to support us at the Military Arms channel, a good way to do that is to swing by and check us out at forgedfromfreedom.com and the Military Arms collection. You can pick up a cool shirt like Does It Take Glock Mags? And we have many other shirts to choose from. And last but not least, please swing by and check us out over at Copper Custom. It's coppercustom.com. We have a lot of great products at great prices. And also, Patreon supporters get a lot of great deals through Copper Custom, so they kind of help one another out. Thanks for watching, guys. We've been here for 10 years. We couldn't have done it without you, and we look forward to another 10 years or more. Talk to you soon.